Translation. So we'll do the word for word first, sorry. So, Lord Brahma, Anuvishtaha, was entered, Bhagavata, by the Lord, Yaha, who, Sete, sleeps, Shalila Ashaye, on the Garbhodaksha ocean, Loko Samstham, the universe, Yatha Purvam, as previously, Nirmame, created, Samsthaya, by intelligence, Swaya, his own. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, Brahma brought his intelligence to bear, and with the intelligence invoked, he began to create the universe as it was before. Purport. At a certain time, the Personality of Godhead, Karanodakshai Vishnu, lies in the Karana ocean and produces many thousands of universes from his breathing. Then he enters again into each and every universe as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and fills up half of each universe with his own perspiration. The other half of the universe remains vacant, and that vacant space or that vacant region is called outer space. Then the lotus flower sprouts from his abdomen and produces the first living creature, Brahma. Then again, as Shirodakshai Vishnu, the Lord enters into the heart of every living entity, including Brahma. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. The Lord says, quote, I am seated in everyone's heart, and by me are remembrance and forgetfulness made possible. As the witness of the activities of the individual entities, the Lord gives each one remembrance and intelligence to act according to his desire at the time he was annihilated in his last birth in the last millennium. This intelligence is invoked according to one's own capacity or by the law of karma. Brahma was the first living entity, and he was empowered by the Supreme Lord to act in charge of the mode of passion. Therefore, he was given the required intelligence, which is so powerful and extensive that he is almost independent of the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just as a highly posted manager is almost as independent as the owner of a firm, Brahma is described here as independent because, as the Lord's representative to control the universe, he is almost as powerful and independent as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord, as a supersoul within Brahma, gave him the intelligence to create. The creative power, therefore, of every living entity is not his own. It is by the grace of the Lord that one can create. There are many scientists and great workers in this material world who have wonderful creative force, but they act and create only according to the direction of the Supreme Lord. A scientist may create many wonderful inventions by the directions of the Lord, but it is not possible for him to overcome the stringent laws of material nature by his intelligence. Nor is it possible to acquire such intelligence from the Lord, for the Lord's supremacy would then be hampered. It is stated in this verse that Brahma created the universe as it was before. This means he created everything but the same name and form as in the previous cosmic manifestation. So translation again, when that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is lying on the Garbhodaka ocean, entered the heart of Brahma, Brahma brought his intelligence to bear, and with the intelligence invoked, he began to create the universe as it was before. So here, the context of what we're reading today is how Maitreya is describing the secondary creation which is Visarga, in which Brahma creates different mentalities. And we were reading through some of the mentalities, that how he had to give up, some of his bodies. So here we also see in the purport that Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the quality of a good leader. Right? Here he is leading Brahma. Brahma is creating a universe, and he's creating the universe as it was before. Right? He is not having a new plan. It is the same plan which has been given. It's the same blueprint. Krishna doesn't need him to create a new plan. The design is okay. Why? He doesn't need a new plan because this is the temporary world. The basic plan is the same. And this was all created, the blueprint was created by Shabda Brahma, which is the Vedic sound which came from Krishna. And in the translation we see that Krishna entered the heart of Brahma. And within his heart, the intelligence came to Brahma to actually recreate the universe how it used to be. So that is the quality of a good leader. A good leader always tries to give intelligence and wisdom to operate. Just like how Brahma was given this intelligence and wisdom to operate, to create this universe, to implement it again. He gave him the autonomy. He gave him his free will, that here's the plan, here's the basic plan, but now you can go ahead and start to implement. He did not micromanage Lord Brahma. He kept a close eye on him though. How? As Shirodakshaya Vishnu, in his heart, right? He was noticing everything which was happening. And when there is some danger, he allows Brahma to again come back to him, right? Where we saw in a few verses later from here that when there was a problem, Lord Brahma ran to Vishnu, to Krishna, and Krishna was there to protect him. So that is a quality of a good leader. And here, Brahma and Krishna are actually showing us how that relationship needs to work. So we also see here what was the purpose of this material world. What is the purpose of this material world? What do you think is the purpose of this material world?
To kick us so hard.
Here comes the mic.
To kick us and beat us so hard that we start going, there's something wrong here. I need to do something different, and then we start to inquire about higher subjects.
Yeah, right? To give an opportunity to the jivas to be able to act according to the desires we have. And here Krishna also says that we have the same desires based on what we were thinking at the time we were getting annihilated the last time, we had our last birth. So we get this by Krishna, who is seated in our hearts, this intelligence and remembrance. So jivas, we can't overcome the stringent laws of material nature by our own intelligence, right? Here Srila Prabhupada explains in the last part that Lord Brahma, a scientist, may create many wonderful inventions by the directions of the Lord. But it is not possible for him to overcome the stringent laws of material nature by his own intelligence. Why? Because the Lord's supremacy would then be hampered. It is not possible for us to acquire all that intelligence, and it only comes from Krishna. So that's also a very important point, that we can't overcome the stringent laws of nature. So, like Prabhu was saying, right, the main purpose of this material world is for us to be able to understand this is a temporary world. Every jiva is looking for happiness, eternal happiness. And how do we get this eternal happiness? When we actually are serving Krishna, when we are in our eternal relationship with Krishna, which is as servitude. He is the person we are to serve. And when we do that, we actually get a lot of happiness. And many times we have experienced this, right? When we try to serve somebody and we see the happiness on their faces, we actually feel very happy, right? And that is the essence of Krishna consciousness. That whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer, we do that for the pleasure of Krishna. And when we do that, automatically from sadhana bhakti, we come to prema bhakti, which is the purpose of this human form of life. The human form of life is different from the animal form of life. The animals, when we see around us, they do 4 things. What are the 4 things? Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Srila Prabhupada says that if we behave like that, we are just a sophisticated animal. And we don't want that. We want to be able to use our intelligence, which differentiates us from animals. We use our intelligence for 3 things. We try to understand who we are. Who is Krishna? And what is our relationship with Krishna? And how do we do that? We do that by following sadhana bhakti, by devotional practice. When we try to perform these devotional practices, automatically Krishna from within our heart, just like how he came and gave that intelligence and remembrance to Brahma, one day we would also get that remembrance. So our acharyas have given us 64 different types of practices which we can do. Out of those 64, 5 are the most important. And that is all covered in Srila Prabhupada's morning program. Srila Prabhupada was so wonderful that he gave everything to us if we just stay in the association of devotees. The 5 were chanting the holy name, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, deity worship, being in the association of devotees, and Mathuravas. So Mathuravas, or living in the dham, Srila Prabhupada converted every place into a dham, right? We can also convert our minds into our dham when we are actually doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. So that is the point here, that some of the points which we discussed today were, what are the qualities of a good leader? What does a good leader do to try to empower the person? The purpose of the material world. We discussed what is the purpose of the material world. We also discussed what can we do to get out of this material world. How can we use our intelligence? We also saw later on that what was some of the pieces which Lord Brahma is going to go about when he's trying to create the material world. We also see that how when Brahmaji gave up his body, when he had the bad thought, the demons which came out, they were so lustful. They started running behind Lord Brahma himself, their own father. And then what did Brahma do? He ran to Krishna. And Krishna was there to always help him, protect him, and give him the right guidance. So we'll stop here and we'll see if there are any reflections or any comments.
Prabhu, I'm really interested in this part of Lord Brahma giving up his body, and you mentioning it was a subtle body. I've had kind of experiences in my life where I kind of see that subtly we're giving up bodies and stuff. But I was just wondering, can you expand on it a little bit and kind of help us to understand how we can apply that in our life, or does it apply in our life?
Yeah, actually Srila Prabhupada gives a very, very nice purport there. So let's read that purport. Just checking 1 second. $28? 28, yes. So the translation was, the Lord, who can distinctly see the minds of others, perceived Brahma's distress and said to him, "Cast off this impure body of yours." Thus commanded by the Lord, Brahma cast off his body. Purport. The Lord is described here by the word Viviktadhyamatma Darshanaha. If anyone can completely perceive another's distress without doubt, it is the Lord himself. If someone is in distress and wants to get relief from his friend, sometimes it so happens that his friend does not appreciate the volume of distress he is suffering. But for the Supreme Lord, it is not difficult. The Supreme Lord as Paramatma is sitting within the heart of every living entity, and he directly perceives the exact causes of distress. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishtaha. I am sitting in everyone's heart, and because of me, one's remembrance and forgetfulness occur. Thus, whenever one fully surrenders unto the Supreme Lord, one finds that he is sitting within one's heart. He can give us direction how to get out of dangers or how to approach him in devotional service. The Lord, however, asked Brahma to give up his present body because it had created the demonic principle. According to Sridhar Swami, Brahma's constant dropping of his body does not refer to him actually giving up his body. And as we read in this chapter, we'll see that Brahma actually gives up his body multiple times. Rather, he suggests that Brahma gave up a particular mentality. Mind is a subtle body of the living entity. We may sometimes be absorbed in some thought which is sinful, but if we give up the sinful thought, it may be said that we give up the body. Brahma's mind was not in correct order when he created the demons. It must have been full of passion because the entire creation was passionate. Therefore, such passionate sons were born. It follows that any father and mother should also be careful while begetting children. The mental condition of a child depends upon the mental status of his parents at the time he is conceived. According to the Vedic system, therefore, therefore the Garbhodhana Samskar, or the ceremony for giving birth to a child, is observed. Can someone read, please? Before begetting.
Before begetting a child, one has to sanctify his perplexed mind. When the parents engage their minds in the lotus feet of the Lord, and in such a state the child is born, naturally good devotee children come. When the society is full of such good population, there is no trouble from demoniac mentalities.
Yeah, thank you. So, Srila Prabhupada explains very clearly, taking from Sridhar Swami, that Brahma had a particular mentality. That mind is a subtle body in the living entity. And he gave up that thought. When he gave up that thought, it's like giving up your body.
This is really actually, I'm thinking this is pretty cool because sometimes we call it like changing your attitude or changing your state of being. And some people feel like they can't do that. Like the state of being or the mentality or is pushed on them and they have to be like that. But if you start to get more intelligence and use your intelligence, you can go, okay, this attitude isn't helping me. It's not helping the situation. So what attitude can help me? And so I was just thinking about how, strengthening of the intelligence, which we understand Lord Brahma to be, the most intelligent.
Right. And yeah, he was trying to be mindful, right? Like Lord Krishna, what he gave, right, to Brahma when Brahma came. So Lord Brahmaji was in a different mentality. And when he approached Krishna, he said, Krishna, I need your help. Help me. Right? And what did Krishna say? Krishna said, The mentality you have is not okay. You need to give up your mentality. Right? Change your mood, change your mind. give up that body. So we can actually take, like everything what's happening in our lives, it's not something new. It's all happened. And Srimad Bhagavatam is like that case study. We can always go back to Srimad Bhagavatam to understand what do we do in that situation. Jai Hari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
And thank you Nanda Braj Prabhu for the wonderful question. My question was exactly pretty much the same as that, but I was like, I think Nanda Braj was kind of touching on it a little bit about how do we do that? Like how, because I think there was also some mention about if it's being advertised to us, right? And that's a huge struggle for myself, because if I want to change mentality, but then all of a sudden I get like an advertisement on my phone or something, like it's not even that I'm doing any searching for it, So is it just like a constant process of changing? Is it just, or like what is there like, is there a question that you can constantly ask yourself that can help you with that change?
Yeah, so let's go back to this example of Brahma, right? What did Brahma do? When he saw that something was bad, he immediately went and got good association. His association was Krishna, right? So as soon as he got good association, he got good intelligence. So what can we do? Right? We are bombarded with so many different things, right? So many distractions. So we really need to, first of all, fortify ourselves. And how do we fortify ourselves? By good intelligence, by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from devotees, having good friends, having a good circle of friends. So association really matters a lot. And when you have good association and you have peers you can share your heart with, having like-minded devotees who can hear you without judgment, and then you're able to open up your heart. I think that's very, very important. Like here, for Brahma to actually go and share this with Krishna, it shows that he was so vulnerable. He actually opened up his heart. And unless we open up our heart, we don't get that. We don't get that blessings coming, mercy coming from up. So we should have some really good friends. And it doesn't mean that we have an army of friends. Even one person we have whom we can confide in, share our heart with, get good association, that really helps. So catching ourselves, first of all, catching ourselves that yes, we are getting that mentality, that's very important. Like sometimes, we're just going around doing our own business, and we have a look, but it's that second look, right? If we can catch ourselves from having that second look, that's the first thing what we can do, right? We cut that mentality right there, and then we have friends whom we can share, Srimad Bhagavatam, and pray to Krishna. Like here, Brahma, he actually prayed to Krishna. He went and he opened his heart. Krishna is personable. He understands us, right? Srila Prabhupada here is explaining that Krishna is in everyone's heart as Shirodakshaya Vishnu. He knows exactly what we are going through. He is our true friend. So if we pray to him very sincerely that Krishna, I'm struggling with this, I really need your help, he is definitely going to reciprocate. Hope that's okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, one more reflection.
Thank you for class, Prabhu. One thing that stood out is, well, I was identifying some leadership qualities as you had structured the class. And I appreciate the point that Krishna simultaneously allows space for Brahma to learn, practice, make mistakes, but he's not just leaving him alone. He's, like you said, he's always there to help when Brahma is struggling. And Krishna is always giving education and training. And I was thinking how Krishna arranges our whole life. Every experience we go through is training to prepare us to be more suited for fighting against Maya and to become more purified. So if we are in a leadership role as formal leaders or parents or whatever, then I think this is really helpful. To not micromanage, but also not to neglect, and to find that balance of being there to help, giving training and education, but also giving space. So I really appreciate the structure of this class, Prabhu. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Before we end, I want to thank you, Naimisharanya Prabhu. You were shorted 15 minutes on this class. And I know from me giving class, I spend so much time studying and figuring out how to give it. So I appreciate your soberness to be like, okay, hey, I'm just, and to give an excellent class. You know what I mean? Like the points you made were like, so thank you. I think you deserve some appreciation for that. Thank you so much.
I really look forward to preparing for the Bhagavatam class and giving it, because it helps me to go a little bit more deeper into the subject matter. So it's for my purification. So I'm very grateful to all of you. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Ritatoja Maharaj Vyas Puja celebration ki jai.